Hi guys, and welcome to Wednesday, March 25th. So we're working more with synthetic division. I'm going to break this worksheet up into two different videos. So the first video is going to cover numbers 1 through 8, and the second video is going to cover numbers 9 through 16. So make sure you watch both videos. They're both important. But I thought I would just break it up and make it a little bit easier. Okay, in the first couple problems here, first 8 problems that we're doing. So the directions tell us to solve using synthetic division. All a values are 1. For example, if this was our division problem, notice what we're dividing by. This is called your binomial over here. All right, so this binomial, notice that the x does not have a number in front of it. So we say the a value is 1. All right, and that's going to make these a little bit more simpler. Now, what's going to be different about these than yesterday is that we could possibly have missing terms, meaning that it goes from n to the fourth, n squared, and then just your number. And so you're missing n to the third. So we have to put a placeholder in there, and we'd put a 0 in for that. The other thing is that it is very possible to have remainders in here. Okay? So possible remainders. All right. Okay, so I'm going to do a few of these with you. Let me grab my notes. Okay, so we're going to do number 1 first. So the first thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at all of the exponents in my what I'm dividing. So if we notice, I have 4, 3, 2, this is essentially 1, and then 0. So we have all of our terms. We have no missing terms whatsoever, so we don't have to worry about a placeholder. Also notice that our a value is 1, so we're good there. So this one's going to be a pretty standard question like you did yesterday. All right, so I'm just going to write down, so I take the opposite of that. So this would be -9 on the outside here. And then I write down all of my coefficients, being sure that I write down any negative signs. Leave a little space. First number comes straight down. -9 times 1 gives me -9. Remember, when we go straight down, we add. So then this is -4. And then we have -9 times -4 is a positive 36. Add those together, and I'm left with a -3. And then -9, remember, all the way over here, -3. And that would be a positive 27, and that leaves me with a -6. And then -9 times -6 gives me 54. And this time we don't have a remainder. So again, this is just a review of what you did yesterday. All right, then to write our answer, this would be n. Now, our original problem was n to the fourth, so our answer is going to be 1 less. You're right. All right, so n to the third minus 4n squared minus 3n minus 6. And that's your solution. Okay, pretty simple. Again, just going over what we did yesterday. Let's look at number 2. All right, number 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check my exponents to make sure that I have everything. So I have 3, 2, this is essentially 1, and then 0. So I got everything. We're good there. All right, and then I'm going to start with this. Take the opposite of -3, and that's +3. And then I'm going to write down my coefficients, again, being sure that I write down any negatives. Leave some space. First number comes straight down. 3 times 1 gives me 3. Add gives me 7. 3 times 7 gives me 21. And when I subtract that, when I add that, that gives me 8. And then 3 times 8 gives me 24. All right, now notice we have a remainder this time. This is your remainder, meaning this is what we have left over. So meaning that this k minus 3 does not divide evenly into this k to the third plus 4k squared minus 13k minus 32. So k minus 3 is not a factor of that larger polynomial because it does not divide evenly. All right, so to write out the answer with the remainder. So we do the same thing as we did before, same process. This was to the third, so my answer is going to be 1 less, which makes it squared. So this is k squared plus 7k plus 8. Now, this right here is a negative, so I put minus. Now we're going to make a little fraction. We put our remainder on top, and then you put this right here on the bottom. So what you are dividing by, right, that binomial, we're going to put that on the bottom. So now we have k squared plus 7k plus 8 minus 8 over k minus 3. Okay, and that's your solution. We leave it just like that. Okay, so again, all you're doing is putting the remainder on the top of a fraction with that binomial on the bottom of the fraction. All right, let's look at number 4. Skip down to number 4. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check out my exponents, and I notice I have 3, 2, and then 0. So I'm missing just my number with an a term, or a to the first. So when I write down my coefficients, I have to put a placeholder in for that a term, and we're going to have to put in 0 because we have to count for every place value or every term. All right, so we have negative 8. So we are going to take the opposite of negative 8 and make that positive 8. And then we have our coefficients, so 1, and then negative 8, and then 0, and then negative 6. Again, that 0 is representing that a term, that there is no a term. All right, leave some space. First number comes straight down. 8 times 1 gives me 8. And then negative 8 plus 8 gives me 0. These are the problems I like because we start getting lots of zeros and makes it really easy. So 8 times 0 gives me 0. We add a 0. 8 times 0 is 0. And we're left with negative 6 as our remainder. Okay? All right, so we're going to write our answer. So this was originally to the third. So my answer is going to be squared. So a squared. Now notice these are zeros. I don't need to put those terms in there, but I do have a remainder. So I'm going to put minus 6. And then I put it over top of this binomial. So a minus 8. And there's my solution, just like that. You just got to be really careful. You have to put in this placeholder. That is super duper important. And that's where I see students make the mistake. So make sure you pay attention and you put the 0 in for any placeholder. So if you look at your problems, like number 3, you can look at them ahead of time. That's 4 to the third, x to the 4th, x to the 3rd, and then we're missing the x squared term. So you can think in your head that you have 0x squared. So you got to make sure you put a placeholder in there. If we look at number 5, we've got 4, 3, 2, 1, and none. So that you're good there. And then on number 6, we've got 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. Perfect there too. So the only one that you have to worry about a placeholder is going to be number 3. Okay? So once you finish working on numbers, well, I did 1, 2, and 4. So you have 3, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Once you finish those problems, then I need you to watch the next video on how to complete problems 9 and so on. All right? Okay, let me know if you have questions, guys.